It's been 8 long years since Bloodborne was released, and every year or two, I find myself going back to relive the night of the hunt. The question is, does Bloodborne hold up after all this time? Does the series need some love from Sony? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Mason, and let's talk about Bloodborne. Right off the bat, Bloodborne is not only one of my top Souls games, but one of my favorite games of all time. The setting, the lore, the combat, the everything. I love almost everything this game has to offer, and it makes me sad that Sony and FromSoft have kind of forgotten about the game. There's no PC port, or even a PlayStation 4 Pro patch. It still runs exactly as it did back in 2015, unless you're playing on a PS5, which in that case the loading times will be faster, thank God. It's unfortunate that it hasn't been properly ported to the PS5. Or given a PC port, despite the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit telling us it's coming every freaking year. This was the game that made me want a PlayStation 4, and I consider it to be the best exclusive the PS4 has. But for now, let's talk about how Bloodborne plays 8 years later.
Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion.
Like other Souls games, Bloodborne leaves the player in a crumbling, ruined world that is long past its prime. You're not sure why you're here, or how you even ended up here in this world to begin with. Everything is cryptic and shrouded in mystery, and it only seems to grow as you progress through the game. All you know is that you must kill, or die trying, and you will. A lot. You will die many times. It's a game about trial and error, filled with terrifying bosses that will wreck you over one mistake. If you haven't played a Souls game before, you're going to see the "you died" text quite a bit. But as you progress and learn the movesets against these aggressive foes, you will get the sense of fulfillment and progression that makes the game feel rewarding, not just from the items and large amounts of souls your enemies will drop, but knowing that you are the one who figured out how to beat your opponents. It's a great change of pace from other games that are filled with microtransactions that simply give you instant gratification to hook you in and take your money. In Bloodborne, you feel as if you earned your victories, and I think that's one of the best things about the Souls games in general.
You must be a hunter, and not one from around here either.
What I love most about Bloodborne is its gothic setting and its rich atmosphere. All of FromSoft's games are excellent when it comes to creating unique worlds, but the city of Yharnam is something special. Its Victorian architecture, gothic artwork, and history give the city so much life, I could consider it one of the main characters of Bloodborne itself. The city almost has its own character arc, as it seems as the night goes on, it gets stranger and weirder the more you progress. When we first awaken in Yharnam, the city is long past its glory days, as most FromSoft games start off. The streets are filled with disease and death. Beasts stalk the alleyways, and a plague looms over those who still have their sanity. It's grim and depressing at first, but you'll soon learn there's more to Yharnam than werewolves and blood. As the night of the hunt goes on, the setting and plot change from gothic influence to a cosmic, eldritch horror that could have came straight out of H.P. Lovecraft's nightmares. This sort of change in tone sounds like it would be jarring, but Bloodborne wonderfully introduces these Lovecraftian themes slowly and methodically that they feel right at home when they take focus. You'll start off by noticing creepy statues or odd creatures that look like they shouldn't belong, and before you know it, you're fighting for your life against an ancient god itself. It's a lot to take in, and the plot doesn't directly answer any questions you may have. However, what I find appealing about Bloodborne is unraveling this cosmic mess yourself. Like other Souls games, you're only left with item descriptions and what vague stories the NPCs have to tell you, and I've always loved this about the Souls games. The world building in Bloodborne is magnificent and makes Yharnam seem so lively, if you can call it that, and you begin to feel bad for the people who are trapped in this failing city. For example, the little girl you meet towards the beginning of the game, she begs for you to find her parents and gives you a music box while claiming it'll make her father happy. Once you reach the first unskippable boss, Father Gascoigne, you soon realize that he is the little girl's dad, and the music box she gave you will stun him even when he changes into a beast. Unfortunately, you have to fight him. And what's even worse is that you find her mother soon after the fight. It's these well-written details that make FromSoft games special and add so much to the world building. It shows how far Yharnam has fallen while being interactive to the player by giving them tools or items that will benefit them. The environmental storytelling is top-notch and known by the Souls community, but what's more widely known is Bloodborne's difficulty. When it comes to gameplay, Bloodborne is the exact opposite of its predecessor. In Dark Souls, the combat is slower and requires a methodical approach when it comes to positioning and using your shield, whereas Bloodborne takes away your shield and hits the turbo. Bloodborne is fast-paced and rewards you when you play aggressively, and it all revolves around the 3 basic mechanics: dashing, parrying, and rally, which is exclusive to Bloodborne. With dashing, it's like you're the Flash when you're fighting a boss. You're literally dancing around them. You don't need to worry about weight and equip loads like in Dark Souls, so there's no chance of fat rolling. Now, every Souls game allows you to parry, but Bloodborne doesn't offer you a shield to defend yourself. Instead, it gives you guns. Bloodborne wants you to be in an enemy's face and shoot them. Like other Souls games, if you parry at the right moment, your opponent will be stunned, allowing you to do a visceral attack. What really sets Bloodborne apart is the rally mechanic. I love this mechanic, and I wish FromSoft would bring it back. When an enemy hits you, you'll notice an orange bar where the health you lost was. If you wait too long, you'll lose your health like normal. However, if you react quickly enough and hit your opponent back, you will regain your health. All of these mechanics combined allow the player to play recklessly and aggressive like the beast present in the game. You can't have combat without weapons, and Bloodborne doesn't have that many. With DLC included, the game only features 26 weapons. Some may see this as a lack of content, but each weapon is different and unique, and features what is called a trick mechanic. By pressing L1, your weapon will transform into something else, basically giving you 2 weapons in one. My personal favorite is Ludwig's Holy Blade, which transforms into a greatsword when the regular sword is in its sheath. You can even transform these weapons during combat, allowing for some awesome combo attacks that will stagger a lot of powerful enemies. I highly recommend trying out every weapon you come across, because every weapon can be used to beat the game, including the 3 starter weapons. I still use the Saw Cleaver along with the Ludwig's since it's better at staggering beast enemies. You can also upgrade your weapons to give it better damage, or add a status effect like poison to better suit your style. And that's something I love about Bloodborne, is its style. The clothes and armor you wear in Bloodborne are mostly cosmetic. Some might give you better poison resistance to help you out in certain areas, but almost every piece of clothing has comparable damage resistance. So if you want to defeat a boss completely naked, that's completely doable. It's all about the fashion souls. It's safe to say Bloodborne's combat is awesome. It's bloody yet stylish, but most of all fun. As we move past low frame rates on consoles, or if you've played newer, more recent Souls games on PC like Elden or Dark Souls 3, it can be hard to return to lower frames since Bloodborne is only available on PlayStation. And it never received a PlayStation 4 Pro patch either, so you're playing the game as it was back in 2015. I've been a console peasant my whole life, so I'm kinda used to it at this point. But I won't lie to you when I say Bloodborne can feel cumbersome or clunky at times because of its low frame rate. Like other games at 30 frames, there's some slight input delay from when the player presses the button and the action takes place on screen. It's a short millisecond delay, but you can still feel them and it can make the game feel clunky. To counter this, FromSoft added what is called input buffering, as well as invincibility frames that appear in other Souls games. With input buffering, when the player performs an action, they can press a button to input a different action while the first action is taking place, basically storing it in a queue as the first action is in progress. This adds to the gameplay of Bloodborne and honestly fits the theme of these games as it commits you to your actions, and if you make a mistake, you will be rightfully punished for it. The issue with input buffering is that it leads you to believe your inputs haven't registered, and might cause you to waste stamina on an attack or dodge farther than what you intended. This leads me to believe that Sony can't simply unlock the frame rate for Bloodborne without completely breaking the game. When the PlayStation 4 port for Dark Souls 2 was released, the game had issues with its invincibility frames because the frame rate was doubled. This is something that could be worked in a remaster from FromSoft themselves.
You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own.
The frame rate will definitely be a deterrent to some of you, but to be honest, I only have 2 complaints about Bloodborne, and they both tie into each other in a way. One is the inability to teleport between lamps. It gets tedious warping back to the Hunter's Dream, finding which tombstone takes you to where you want to go, and if you're playing on a PlayStation 4, waiting for the game to load, which is my second issue. Yes, it's better than what it was at launch, and significantly faster if you're using a PlayStation 5, but for those that are still on last-gen hardware, you're going to see a lot of this. I wouldn't be against going to the Hunter's Dream just for leveling up and upgrading weapons, but it's an annoyance to warp back to the dream just to travel somewhere else. Both of these issues aren't exactly deal breakers, and I believe they could easily be fixed if they would just remaster the game.
Well, don't just stand there. Don't you have work to do?
After replaying Bloodborne to write this review, it made me think about what my all-time favorite game is, and I have decided that it has to be Bloodborne. I absolutely love this game, and I rank it as FromSoft's best game. Higher than Eldenring and higher than the first Dark Souls even. In my opinion, it takes everything I love from the previous Souls titles and simply perfects the formula while throwing it in a gothic Victorian area with some cosmic Lovecraftian horrors in the background. It saddens me that the game hasn't gotten any love from Sony or FromSoft. It deserves a remake, a remaster, or even a sequel. I'll settle for a simple frame rate patch if it's doable. It just needs some attention, and I can only hope Sony is working on something in the background.
Don't think too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few beasts. It's for your own good.
I cannot recommend this game enough. And if you have a PlayStation console, you can currently get the game from the PlayStation Plus collection, at least until May 9th, 2023. So give it a shot. I sound like a broken record at this point, but I just love this game. There's just so much to talk about, whether it's lore or the Souls series in general. And I hope all of you enjoyed this video, so thank you so much for watching. This is one of my favorite videos to make so far, and I might talk more about Souls-likes in the future. If you want to watch future reviews, subscribe. Or if you just want to talk about video games with my friends and I, comment down below. Thanks again, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.
Our eyes are yet to open. Fear the old blood.
I must take my leave.